All right, everyone. It's Friday, which must mean it's another Q&A with Alan and Marshall's show. I'm Marshall Atkinson.
I'm Alan Howe with Easy Way.
And Alan, who do we have with us today?
I have no idea. Never met him. We have the most awesome Cassie Green from the Apparelist / Printing United / Cassie was one of my editors at a previous life for a magazine, and
Really?
I'm very excited. Yeah. So I'm very excited to have her on. We got a ton of great things to talk about, stuff happening, stuff that's going on, stuff that could be happening. So yeah. So Cassie, thank you so much for being on our show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, Alan and even Marshall, I mean, we all go way back to my previous days.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you all
different
ask
hair
me to be on the
colors
show-
for you.
What's that?
Different hair colors.
Oh, geez. I was telling somebody the other day, I think I change my hair color like every 6 months. I got to stop doing that. My hair's about to fall out.
It was red when I first met you.
Yeah.
No,
And
I mean,
it
that
was
was a while
red
ago.
last year.
Yeah.
Like last December, even
Oh
January.
no,
might have still been red.
this is back when you were content editor for a magazine.
Yep.
So Cassie, where do you live?
So I live in Denver, which is awesome. And I'm just going to go ahead and drop that brag right there. So sorry.
Yeah, that's
all
okay. Right? Are you a Broncos fan?
I am a Broncos fan, and let me tell you, it is so painful. So these days, I more just talk about I'm more of a Colorado Avalanche fan because they're a little easier to stomach these days. So
well, I grew up in Detroit Lions. Let's talk about even more painful.
Yeah.
When someone goes, how painful is it? Well, the last time they had a winning season, my mom was in junior high, or won a championship. So yeah.
That's rough.
And all right, well, great. And so for people that don't know, right? So Cassie is my editor. I write for the Apparelist.
Mm-hmm.
I've sent some stuff to her. I have a new article out all about AI that wouldn't that come out last week?
Last week, I think. And you know what? It is so good. I mean, I've just started dabbling in AI. So like for everybody, we'll push it out in our newsletter next week and share it on social media and all that good stuff. But really just awesome article. And in tandem with your new newsletter about Midjourney, I think that, the content is so good. Like you said, if you have not explored AI, just do it.
Well, yeah, the article isn't about one specific program, really. It's just about getting over your fear of it and doing something, right?
Is this the article you wrote by just typing in chat GPT? Give me an article for the Apparelist. Bam, there it is. 1,200 words.
Now, here's what I'll tell you is when I write anything these days, I write the article and I throw it into OpenAI and I ask it specifically, what did I forget? And then sometimes it'll give me 2 or 3 ideas that I didn't consider, and then I add them to the article. I don't really use the tool to write for me because it doesn't have my experiences and creativity and just how I think. Okay. One day it might. Okay. But right now, and I author stuff and I want to write things. And so that's kind of a thing. And so it's not coming up with for this article, I use the hook about jumping into the ocean and, testing out the waters as kind of the metaphor for using AI, right? And so that was my hook that I used. And I kind of carried that throughout the article. And, AI may come up with that, right? But that was kind of my thing, right? So,
yeah. Well, you have a distinct voice too, Marshall. I mean, you've been writing for a long time. You know what you're talking about. So I think if you were to put an article through AI, it would be instantly recognizable that it wasn't written by you. You just have such a great voice and it shines through. It's let you write it, right? So
well, thank you. I appreciate that. So all right, so let's say hello to some folks and get some stuff going. And we got a little commercial to run here. So Richard Greaves is here from Michigan. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Rich.
And Hurley's here from Canada. Good seeing you.
Chris needs to come to Printing United. Chris, you got to go to a trade show. This is a year. Make it happen.
Yeah, Adobe Express and Firefly are amazing. I totally agree. My entire week disappeared playing with the new betas. Yes, I'm down with that. And Photoshop, generative fill is awesome. And all over that. So, all right. And our buddy Ray's here. Greetings, Screenlings. And good seeing him. And, you know, Ray's one that doesn't hide his opinions either. So, all right. So anyway, let's run our commercial, and then we've got a lot of topics that we want to talk about. Yeah.
Ray Smith.
Thanks, Ray. Yeah, and I appreciate that. So, all right. I'm going to ask AI to help me grow my beard out. All right. Here we go. Thanks, GSG, for sponsoring us. We love you.
Absolutely.
GSG, the combination of over half a century of knowledge with industry-leading technology and the customer at the center of everything that we do. Graphic Solutions Group is a powerhouse distributor of traditional screen, sign, wide format digital printing, embroidery, and textile decorating. We are committed to our customers, providing support, educational, and consulting services. Your success is our success. We've seen these industries grow and change in our 70 years. One thing never changes: GSG's dedication providing the best products and services available. We've been around, we'll be around, from the highs and the lows, standing right here with you. GSG, the right products, right away.
That is still one of my favorite commercials. Man, Daniel at GSG, their video guy, did a great job on it.
Yeah. So supposedly we're getting a new one.
Supposedly.
I don't know when that's going to happen, though.
No.
We're not in charge.
Nope.
So Chris, by the way, says he got some great ideas yesterday for new high density design.
Cool.
Hey, let me ask you, I know we're going to talk about Printing United later. Are you guys still doing the awards? You know, Printing United Expo?
Our awards program has, obviously, as you guys probably know, changed a little bit over the past few years. So I would say at this point, I'm going to hold off on like committing to anything, because I know like things are kind of different. And I don't work a lot on the expo side in terms of like the everyday and the scheduling and all that, and like what actually is happening. But, you know, I can definitely direct if anybody has like specific questions about that. I can connect you with the right person. Right. And then the schedule and all the events are being updated on the site as things get solidified and put in place. And
so right now, we'll talk about that later. Let's just reserve that conversation.
Sure.
That.
Yeah. and then Ray here says he has naked opinions. That's how we see them.
I love it.
Ray, we don't want to see your naked opinion.
That's right.
And he says new mid-journey prompts: group portrait, sepia tone, arc lighting, hard contrast. Marshall rented as Marshall Dillon. Alan Asbestos, Binus says Richard agrees, and Miss Kitty in the background. Keep the beards, and don't forget the mole on Kitty.
Right. For those of us that are old enough to know, Marshall Dillon.
James Arness, by the way, was 6'8". Did you know that? And then he had he had to have a special horse because he was so tall.
Huh? I did not know that.
There you go.
Us tall people know stuff like that.
Yeah.
Fun fact for your Friday.
and then, unlike Cliff Clavin, the keeper of useless knowledge. And then Josh, good morning. Good to see you, Josh. Can't wait to see you and your wife in New Orleans. I think that's going to be great. So,
is he going? I thought they have a baby about ready to come out there.
He and Casey are both going. You can hang out.
Oh, cool. Good.
He's got to defend his rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but I asked him in the Shirt Lab Tribe Facebook group, he won the 360 IQ hat press at the Fort Worth Shirt Lab,
Yep.
and he has made since then he's made about $30,000 with it. So this is why you go to stuff, is because of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or this is why you get that hat press, is because of that.
That's about it.
Yeah. So let's kick it off and let's just talk about the apparelist. You know, you're wearing the shirt right there, right? So I don't think everybody even knows what that is, right? And so I think it's a new thing. I mean, just started late last year, if I remember right.
Yeah. Official launch was January 22. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So it's been a year and a half, right? So time flies. So why don't you talk about it, and what are you guys doing, and just what is it?
Yeah. And that's always like the biggest challenge about a new brand, is trying to get it off the floor and get it known and push it out into the industry. Obviously, it's a pretty heavy lift from all directions. But so just broad scope, Apparelist is the media brand of Printing United Alliance that addresses the decorated apparel community. So kind of like backpedaling, I guess, a little bit. When the Alliance sort of revamped from SGIA and went through all the massive change throughout 2019, 2020, all the craziness, brought on NAPCO Media, which had several print publications, dealt with like commercial printing, package printing, the implant segment. But, elephant in the room, massive hole to be filled with the decorated apparel community, right? So they started working on that quite a bit before I was brought on. I was brought on in 2021 to kind of help build the content for the apparel community. So we're digital only, apparelist.com. But we're really here to kind of give decorators a voice and really like let the community speak for itself from more of a business perspective. Obviously there's a tremendous value in sharing like how to do certain techniques, mixed media or special effects decorating or whatever. But really noticed this massive gap in people understanding how to run their business. And Marshall, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here because you help a lot of people with that, which is why we brought you on as a contributor. But there's a lot of people who didn't really understand how to run their business from a financial standpoint, pricing, how to purchase the correct inventory, what to do if OSHA shows up, all these things. So that's really what we're geared toward is, yes, the how-to part is seriously important, but is it important because you just need to know how to do something, or is it important because this is the bread and butter of your business? You're not going to make money if you don't know how to do it, right?
Absolutely.
So that's kind of what Apparelist is. We have a once a week newsletter that comes out, the website, like I said, and then, I know we're going to talk about this a little later and you said to table it, but a couple events and things like that. And just working to get going in the community.
And you also, so you subscribe, you also, you guys do weekly video stuff. I always see you standing up saying, hey, we're talking about this week, and below here are some articles and stuff that you should be reading. And you're always suggesting alternative ways to educate yourself, right?
Yeah.
And so talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So we talk about what we call this content ecosystem. So articles are great, and that's what I love. I love to read a nice in-depth article because I can go back and forth between it all. But there are a large chunk of our audience that just doesn't have time to sit down and spend 10 minutes reading an article. So what we're noticing is a lot of the content we put out is audio or video, so that people can listen to it while they're still working. So a lot of the video stuff we do, I do the weekly video interview, and, just as like a total side note, I did not become an editor so I could be in front of a camera, and here we are. But we also do a lot of video interviews. So if you go to the site, you'll notice we do a lot of interviews with like Stephen Farrig of Campus Inc. or Chanel Stovall of Tea Guru USA. Sure. Simply because people can listen to what they have to say and get that advice, but not have to feel like they have to pause their entire day to sit down and read. Now, of course, we have plenty of that. We have the podcast. We have short blog. Marshall, you've written plenty of long form articles for our site that perform.
I can't write a short form article.
Well, it's quality over quantity. You know what I'm saying? Like they're quality articles and they perform really well as well. So we noticed that people are consuming content in such a variety of ways We want to give the people what they want, right?
Here's something I'll tell you is my blog. I write a weekly blog. I have AI transcribe it and give it a voice because I have some people who don't actually read the blog; they listen to it, and that it's a robot voice, and it sounds like a robot voice. And hopefully, one day I use a Google thing, right? One day it'll be better, and maybe I'll get. I think now there's technology where I can train the AI to use my voice. That might be interesting for me to look into, but that might be something you guys might think about, is to hook that up with your article. So like when it's a published thing, somebody can listen to it instead of having to read it.
Or if you knew somebody that did voiceover too, that would do it.
Yeah, and we've done that. Here too.
I don't know. Who would that be? Who's done that?
Alan does voiceovers. That's why.
Oh, well, Alan, let's talk.
Well, I'm all over it. Yeah. I haven't done a lot. I'm looking to do more. So yeah.
There you
go. Anyway,
it was a shot of Marshall. AI, like you're killing me.
So the thing I think that's really great about what you guys are doing is it's not like there's there's other forms of the stuff out there, right? But you're focusing on trying to solve a problem. You're trying to be relevant. You guys are really doing a good job, I think, of the latest whatever flavor of the problem of the month thing is, and you're trying to solve that with content, and so that's really good. So hey, just a quick idea I had. If you guys are watching right now, is there an article idea or something that you feel is missing from the Apparelist that maybe Cassie should focus some attention on, and that kind of stuff? So here's one. Where should we go for technical information on screen printing? I know why Richard is asking that.
I do too.
And so go ahead and solve that one for us, Cassie, please.
Well, Richard, why don't you just come, write for us?
Well, no. But, his point is that those articles are already there, and you just need to link to them, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And to your point, Richard, I mean, obviously people do have to know the technical aspects of screen printing, and Richard has for many, many years been one of the top contributors on this topic. Yes, we are working on trying to get some of the older backlogged articles that previously SGIA used to have back into our ecosphere, all that stuff. Apparelist, like I said, has been a heavy lift, and there have been a lot of things that we've had to tweak and adjust already out of the gate. Hopefully we will have those soon.
Yeah. Just so you know, Cassie, if you're missing anything, Richard's Library of Alexandria can come to help your cause. So
I love it. Well, Richard, you and I, we're going to talk
right now. Absolutely.
And then Ray's got, there are short form articles. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then Beppy's here. Hey, Beppy.
From Virus, yeah.
Good seeing you. And hey, are you coming to Atlanta? Well, I hope so.
United Beppy, are you coming? Yeah.
So
Cassie, you know Beppy, right? From Fiber Ink?
I'm trying to think.
Water-based ink manufacturer out of Italy.
Yeah. I don't believe we've met
the legend.
He is the man, the myth, the legend.
Well, if he's going to be in Atlanta, let's introduce us.
Another Academy member. We're everywhere. Right.
I love it. Yeah, I wanted to add really quick on that note. Like, I'm always taking submissions and like wanting to have open dialogue with people. My email is cgreen@napco.com. I'm just going to throw it out there for all of you.
Absolutely.
Please email me. The best way for us to help you and get you the content you want is just telling us what you want. Like, just direct.
Right. Sure. Well, I think some article ideas. If you got an idea, throw it into the chat here. We want to talk about it. Hey, good job, Alan. I didn't have to do that.
I'm your wingman. I got it.
All right. Hey, Peter's here. Good morning, Peter. Good seeing you, buddy. I'll see you in New Orleans. Thanks for coming to Shirt Lab and sponsoring it, by the way.
Yeah.
So Richard says, as the writer, I respond quickly to requests for a specific writing assignment.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah. So there you go. So let me ask you, Cassie, what do you think is the void that you like just thinking about, we really need to do something on fill in the blank? What is that?
So surprisingly, I actually think the void is just people understanding laws, legislation, rules.
Oh, yeah.
Like I was talking to, I don't know if anybody here knows Gary Jones. He's our expert on like all things like legislation, sustainability, OSHA,
he's
safety.
Following in the legend Marcy Kinter's
Yes.
footsteps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And yep, but Marcy was previously kind of in that side. After talking to him and all of the like shops that he has dealt with and helped, I really realized there's this massive, like, I don't know if it's like a disconnect or what, but it can be really hard to understand, like, worker safety, employment law, any new legislation in your state, not even federal, but like state legislation, things like that actually do affect print shops. And surprisingly, that's some of our highest performing content on our site is people trying to understand what legislation is coming down the pike to like that will actually affect their shop, because sometimes it's easy to think, that's too big picture. It's easy to get stuck in your channel. But big picture stuff does affect your decorating shop. So,
I was talking with one of my coaching clients earlier, and they're in a pickle right now because they're renting some space, and their building got bought out by a huge conglomerate from another state, and they're really getting jerked around, and there's all this stuff, and so a lot of the call was just Googling. I won't mention the state or where they are, but Googling that state's real estate law. And so, because not everybody owns their building, not everybody has a lawyer, right? And so what is the right answer, and so sometimes, that would, stuff like that, I think that would be a really good article idea, just thinking about that. Remind me about that later, Cassie.
Well, in Cass, we were talking when we were at the summit about a piece of legislation Gary was working on that it wasn't like directly to our industry, but would have massively affected it. And I mean, we had no idea.
Yeah,
I was totally blindsided about it.
Yeah, it had to do with ink and what was ink, like the chemical composition of ink. Yep.
Yeah, with PVC and stuff like that. Yep. And it was going after something else, but it would have, Marshall, this would have flipped our industry upside down.
Well, let me tell you, when the law that what's her name from California that everybody hates, Nancy Pelosi, put through about the phthalates, right? When that came to thing, right? So I was working in a shop, and we had the classic Woolflex, and we had to move to Epic, right? And so what we decided to do was just clean house and completely get rid of one system and move to the other system. We had close to, I think it was $50,000 worth, maybe more, worth of ink, because it's years of stuff, right? Yeah. And it was the classic formula, which printed fantastic. It was great, and the big problem that they had was that, infants were going to get birth defects. That was the reason why the legislation. And I remember there was this doomsday clock that was going to affect all industries. In fact, I wrote a whole series of articles for Impressions magazine about it. And the thing that was really crazy is, there's really no proof that any of this affected anything. Yeah. Right. It's just a perception that this is going to be a problem. So let's go ahead and outlaw something that isn't a problem. Right. And, that's kind of a big, it's always been a big issue, I think, is, and let's legislate something that doesn't exist.
Right. And it's always this broad brush legislation, but the trickle down is how it affects like so many different industries.
Right.
The government never thinks about. And we forget that Printing United is, our voice there. You and I, of course, knew Marcy very well, so we knew that. But I don't think we realized how much they did. So
hey, we're running behind on comments here, so let's just get through these real quick. So Dan's here. Hey, Dan, how you doing? he missed something live. I don't know what he missed, but
You're live right now, Dan. Yeah.
Yeah, we're live. Peter's looking forward to New Orleans. Good, great.
Gonna be great there.
Is also distributor in
Oh,
Italy.
for Avian. I did not know that.
Great. Ray says most shops are usually in violation of some EPA, local DNR, or municipal, and just don't know it. And I totally agree with that. Right?
Yep.
I've done, a lot of times when I go to a shop, I'll walk around and I see extension cords, I see safety trip hazards, I see fire extinguishers that aren't in code. I like, all kinds of crap everywhere, and and so I go, hey, you guys have a safety committee? What's that? So
the basics of not having STS sheets just available.
Yeah, Gary Jones, checklist for screen printing shops, signs, STS, labeling secondary containers. Exactly.
Perfect.
Ray says for us consultants, some of the pending laws can make it literally impossible to work in California, maybe Washington and Oregon as well. I love lead and chrome, smooth transfer to colors. I mix my toxic friends. And then Ray says also the phthalate laws about chew toys at first.
Yep.
We were dragged in at the last hour. How many times have you seen children chew ink on a tea? Like zero.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the one thing I want to really talk about is this leads to that bigger discussion of all the little things affect your business. So these little things will affect your production. They will affect your employee efficiency. You can talk about laws and all this stuff, but even little things like just not having, you were talking about screen tension, all these little things are so important because they keep your business running. Right. So.
Well, running profitably.
I was just going to say, and more
profitably. Without good screen tension, but you're making a giant mistake and you don't know why.
Yeah. So the thing about screen tension, does that make you a great printer? It makes you a way better printer. But but as a business owner, well, let's see, you can go 10% faster, 15% less e-keeled, and all that. Why wouldn't you do it? This is about money and profitability.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah.
Think big picture. Think big picture. How all these little things make your big picture.
Yep.
Yeah. So I work for one of the largest drinkware plants in the U.S. Prop 65 needlessly affected us to the tune of $100,000 for the changeover. Right.
Prop 65, was that the safe harbor law, I believe, correct?
It's the one in California. Yeah. That has to do with all the largely promotional product side got hit really hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. So let's switch gears here. And we talked about the apparel list. Let's talk about the summit that you guys just had. Incredible. Right. Alan went to it. In fact, he was on the committee.
I was on the advisory board.
Dog here. He's on the committee, right? So
you know what? I think you and Lon and everybody else were busy, and Charlie Tyleb, and I was like, okay, we got to get somebody.
I wasn't asked, but go ahead and talk about the summit a little bit, Cassie. And are you guys going to do it next year? What is it? If somebody's interested, because it was an invitation only. So if I want to go, how do I get an invite? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So as you said, we'll start first. Yes, we are going to do it again next year, largely because it was so successful this year. So Apparel Decoration Summit, as you said, Marshall, is invite only. We have an attendee qualification form that is on the summit website, and I'm blanking on what that I think it's summit.apparelist.com. I don't put that up because I got to double check. But there's a qualification form, and there's several factors that go into that. But we have a whole internal team that handles it. This is not a model that we're unfamiliar with and is brand new. So we do it for the other brands, our wide format impressions brand has the summit, Inkjet Summit, all of these things tried and tested, which is why we knew it'd work for the apparel side. So it's basically a way to really elevate the content, elevate the connections. We have boardroom case study presentations throughout the summit. There are one-on-one meetings with the sponsors and the reps. So the value of a trade show is that you get great networking. You get to see everything in one. The value of a summit is you are now actually getting scheduled sit-down time with all of these suppliers, with all of the manufacturers. You get to ask your burning questions that you might not have time to ask while at a trade show, or may not have time to ask while you're just in passing at, a booth. And so that was
I did look
incredibly
it up. It is live.
There you go. Thanks,
Yep.
Alan.
I got it.
Knew I could count on you. But so that's where we really found the value. And the other piece of this was the education part. And this is where Alan and a few other people got involved, is we're like, look, what are the biggest issues that apparel decorators are having? We even asked attendees, like on their qualification form, like, what is the one challenge you are facing, or the one thing you just have to know? And we put together several panel presentations that were more like Q&A style, kind of that thing, and put the experts up there to answer these questions, right? Yeah. So they got a good mix of education and getting to air their grievances and ask their questions, but also connecting with sponsors, with, you know, the suppliers, the manufacturers on that end. And it's quick. It's like,
oh yeah,
you go through fast. I mean, this is like 2.5 days of just like quick connections, full day, everything's scheduled.
Yeah, and it was not a waste of time for these people. So like if you were, say, were an all rock shop, you were not getting a sit down with rock, because they had you narrowed down, you know, through the questionnaire, going, okay, you're already familiar with rock. This is to expand out. You know what? I might be looking at DTG or DTF or something else, or I need a shirt supplier. So you could be hooked up with someone else like that. It was pretty incredible.
Right. And that was a huge
part
of
it. How did you decide on like the path for people?
From what, let me say, so from the clients I knew that went, I asked them, because a lot of this, when I came on board, the apparelist and all that, you guys did a great job. They had it like a lot there. And what I feel like on the advisory board we did is we narrowed some stuff down for them. But from what some of the clients that were there that I knew, they said it wasn't just one email. You know, you fill out the submission form, and then that leads to another series of questions about your business. And then that'll lead to another series of questions. And there was some, you know, this wasn't just a come, have a few drinks, enjoy some free food, you know, come as you want. No, this was very much focused.
Yeah.
By how you answered questions about your business. I don't know if that's what you were thinking about. So,
yeah, to answer your question, Marshall, I mean, we asked people what they were interested in expanding into. What did they want to learn more about? Who were the specific people they wanted to connect with while there?
Yeah.
And like Alan said, it's a very white glove event. So you're not, you know, obviously the forms are automated and things like that, but from there, you are getting personal responses from our team. We have a whole team dedicated to doing this. So they are the ones who are going to coordinate everything with you. You're talking to a real person, their email, they will call, whatever it takes to make sure that the experience is like the highest value.
And you had it in Nashville, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Will next year's be at the same location, or are you going somewhere else?
So we're not releasing a lot of information right now. You'll just have to check the Summit website. But we have a lot of plans already in place. And as that stuff gets announced,
I'm going to say it.
Do you know the dates?
I'm not positive the dates. I would have to check on that. It will be,
I'm already planning next year's stuff, so I like to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so like I said, we do know 2024 is happening. We do have a lot of the details nailed down, just kind of waiting to make sure we have confirmations on everything before we start announcing a lot of the solidified information. So
good.
And I got to sit in and be on the advisory board. I got to sit in on some of the case studies, which was pretty interesting, because I wasn't quite sure how that would work. This was new to our industry. So that was kind of cool. So Cass, talk about the case studies that you had.
Yeah. So for the case studies, we really tried to emphasize to the sponsors, like, yeah, sure, go ahead, pitch your brand, that whole thing, but prove why you're good. Don't just make this a sales pitchy thing where like, we're the best, we're the top, we're the top in this, blah, blah, blah. Bring in customer stories, bring in actual data that supports, you know, if somebody answered or added this piece of equipment to their business, how did it physically, numbers wise, improve the business? What did it do for that customer specifically? And so a lot of those case studies were real, like, numbers behind it.
Yep. One of them I sat into, I'm not going to say who, it was a DTG manufacturer. He actually not only had the case study of this customer, he actually had the customer there.
Yeah.
Which I thought was incredible.
That was awesome. Good. Yeah. So
I'm sure that was planned.
Well, of course it was. Yeah. But you know what? You could say, it'd be easy, like for me, for Easy Way, going, yeah, I have this case study. It's this customer XYZ.
Yeah.
And nobody's ever heard of them.
And
They're
here's
right
Susan.
there.
You can talk about it. Yeah, that's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and people were firing off questions in the boardrooms. I know the one I was particularly sitting in, I mean, attendees were not afraid to pepper the people with questions, which is exactly what we wanted. We want people to feel like they could have an honest conversation and ask the real questions.
Did you record these things?
No, because it's an exclusive event. You have to be there.
Oh, yeah. So I would have recorded it, then used artificial intelligence to break down how to do something better and break it into an OKR format so you can learn about what was the key things that people were interested in.
I will say this, Marshall, we did pull a lot of it out for editorial coverage. And actually the article that you wrote on AI was one of the attendee questions that we had submitted from somebody, but we didn't have time to answer it during the Q&A panel.
Right.
And so I was like, perfect. I'm just going to have somebody who knows what they're talking about answer this question. And that was you. So.
Yeah, great. All right, cool. Hey, so it's time for a little commercial here. So we really want you guys to go to GSG, which is our sponsor.
Yep.
So you can find their pulse, which I'm going to show here in 2 seconds, at gogsg.com.
And I had to give GSG got me, and I gave a full report on the summit to GSG because they're very interested.
So here's their Pulse magazine. It's really great. I'm not quite sure how many pages it is, but there's all types of products in here and sales and deals, and you can get consumables, you can get equipment, you can get all kinds of things right here. And you don't have to be in their territory. You could be living wherever and order from here. And would love to see you guys participate with the Pulse magazine. So if you got 2 seconds, check it out. Just go to gogsg.com and look it up. It's right on the banner right at the top of the website.
I also want to throw out their education. They're really killing it, whether it's screen print, whether it's sign, LED, embroidery. Check out their spot of where they're having these. They have branches, 10 branches all over the place. I think 9 or 10 now. Check it out. Send your people. The education is pretty incredible.
Yeah, right. All right, cool. So, hey, let's switch gears for the third time, and let's talk about something that's happening in the fall, which is the Printing United Expo, right? And so last year's was, where was it? I can't even remember now. Vegas. And this year's in Atlanta, right? Hotlanta. So why should anybody come to this thing, Cassie? Let us know.
The reasons are so long. I don't know that we have time, but I'll hit the high level ones, right? Okay, so last year was the first year I was with the expo. And I will say things really took off. We had the highest attendance that we've had. There are the biggest reason I would say for apparel decorators is you just got to know what else is out there. Yeah. I think if COVID taught us all everything, we've all talked about it 100 times, so I probably don't even need to say it. It's that you can't just stay in like one bucket and hope that that's going to work for you, right? You have to explore other opportunities. What else is it you can offer your customers? The best way to know that is to see what else you can offer people. So at Printing United Alliance and the expo, you will see everything from like wide format machines. So if you want to explore like signage and textile printing, even like wall decor and things like that, you will see like the commercial printing side, vehicle wraps. I mean, there is so much that apparel decorators can expand into. It's almost overwhelming. So I remember talking to a first-time attendee last year, and he said, he's like, I'm so like blown out of the water. I wish that this show was 5 days so that I would have time to see everything, because he's like, I have so many ideas on what I want to buy that I like, my brain is functioning at like high speed because just didn't even realize some of the options that were out there. So big reason is just seeing what else is out there, just knowing that some of these things even exist and that they're a super viable option for your business. And then a big reason, because I'm an apparel person, I'm obviously going to push the apparel zone and Future State Theater. Those are sort of like the educational community hubs for apparel decorators specifically. So if you're looking for presentations and education content, we obviously have a general education like session and several panels, but in the apparel zone and future state specifically, those will be geared toward apparel decorators. So you can count on like those being specific for apparel decorators. Content will be curated and done through an advisory board. So we, again, know that we're addressing topics that people want to know about. And then you'll even get to see like hands-on demos and do all that stuff. So that's another reason to attend a trade show. Is it's one thing to like read about the equipment and to like read a spec sheet, and that's really good. But to see the equipment in action, what it can actually do, is I think invaluable. I mean, that's the biggest way I learned when I was first in this industry. I don't think I truly understood how stuff worked as a whole until I saw it working.
Right.
Yeah. By the way, I'm having some issues with my camera. It's about 30 seconds behind my video. So it's going to look like a Chinese or a Japanese movie here for a minute. So last year, if I remember, I was talking with Peter Walsh with M&R. They had their biggest trade show floor space, the history of the magazine, the history of the company, right? So this year in Atlanta, are you the same type of thing where there's going to be a lot of people bringing stuff and doing some things there?
Yes. Yep. There's, I mean, in the apparel side and beyond, tons of people are bringing their new equipment.
Yep.
No.
No, that's Marshall. He's on
I was going to say,
He's
Marshall's
on a
video is so
delay.
throwing me off right now. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, look at me, focus on me. So.
Focus on Alan, everybody.
That's right.
Alan.
You very rarely do I say that, but yeah, no.
But yeah, I mean, so yeah, there's going to be a ton of new equipment. I mean, I just put a press release on our site about M&R releasing the new Gauntlet 4. So you're going to see a lot of like new equipment, and even like on the direct to film side,
Right.
There's going to be tons of direct to film. So we know that that's like the hot new kid on the block, right?
And there's a bunch of new stuff. This
Oh,
industry has been in such the infancy. And I saw right after the expo, I was told by brother, I went right to a show and they had their new one out. It was the first showing of it. So I think there's going to be a next generation, which is needed for DTF. So,
yeah. And I'm actually leading a panel on that. I believe it's on the first day where we're bringing in a couple DTF manufacturers, but also somebody who has it in his shop and has largely switched his shop's model to direct to film. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what the challenges have been so far. It is still in its infancy. There's so much we still have to learn about it.
Isn't that Davis?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do I know these things?
Well, and Davis has become the voice of DTF. He started from the infancy and has really just done it. He's going to be the up and coming guy. So we're excited about Davis.
Right.
So all right. So don't worry about my video, folks. It's weird. So Scott Dawson's here. Hey, Scott. Howdy from Orlando. We're heading up our biggest event we do every year, which is it's a big motorcycle thing. So that's great.
Look above Scott too. You forgot one.
Oh, Eric. Hey, fantastic to see you folks bringing that into our segment. Yeah, great.
And that was one, he was talking, that came up as we were talking about the expo or the summit and stuff. And that was one thing that was missing that I noticed. And I told a couple of vendors going, man, you need to be involved with this next year because there was nothing embroidery there.
I know. First year learn.
We learned.
Right?
No, that's not a knock. I thought about it afterwards. And so, but absolutely.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Printing United, it's all about printing. How does embroidery get thrown in there? So.
Well, I mean, you have to. So we do a research, into what our demographic and our audience does. I can't remember the number exact, but there is a huge number of people who do embroidery. I mean, I think it just because it's not a traditional printer. I mean, you're still taking a substrate and attaching it to another, right? So
well, how about this? We're apparel decorators. I mean, whether it's print, whether it's DGG, DTF, embroidery, it's apparel decorating on the apparel side. Yes. And we've got to get out. We can't be in those molds that are from 40 years ago that I'm a screen printer, I'm an embroiderer. No. Agreed. You're an apparel decorator. What's the best medium for your client at that time?
Yep.
So Dean says that there'll be a printing United, which is good. Looking forward to getting some face with so many. It's always a good time.
Yep, him or
And,
Brian Walker will be there. Great people.
yeah, great. Yeah. Where are we doing on time? Okay, so our last topic today is about networking and why should people go to an event like Printing United or Shirt Lab or Print Hustlers or your local trade show, where maybe there's just a class that's run by a supplier, right? Why should anybody go to these things, Cassie? And let me tell you, you go to a lot of stuff, right? So you're the perfect person to talk about this. So why do you go to things?
And yeah, I just want to say I will also be at Shirt Lab. Really excited. It was one of the best events I attended last year. I personally, so this is from a purely personal part, I don't run an apparel decoration business. I'm on the media side. I'm a journalist and I talk about it and I want to help connect the community and educate. What better way for us as a media publication to help the community than to understand what is actually happening in the community? If we are not at these events, you don't, and this goes to everybody, you don't know what's actually happening. Again, This goes back to that theme of you might read about it, but if you're not aware of what's going on in the community and you're not making these in-person connections, you're missing out on this huge opportunity to explore other avenues, to learn a new technology, to meet somebody new who might be able to help you, whether that's as like a contract decorator or even just as like a consulting level. So I have learned a tremendous amount about what apparel decorators have to deal with on a day-to-day basis just by being out in the community at these events, because they're actually going to tell me. I can email all day. I can have a phone call all day, and those things are great and they work really well. But if I'm just having a conversation with somebody over lunch, I'm going to get super invaluable information that someone might otherwise not share with me. So that's just the best way to just learn about what's actually happening and knowing what's going on in the industry.
Absolutely.
Which is why Shirt Lab is so awesome. We do a lot of that networking stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is becoming the who's who of there. I mean, I'm glad I get to go again this year, and it's because of everybody else that's going to be there.
Yeah. Well, easy ways to sponsor, and you also kind of know folks.
I know a couple people involved in it.
Well, Shirt Lab's actually where I met Davis. And where I met so many other people just last year that I had not previously known. And now these are some of our top contributors because they have a voice and they want a vehicle. So that's how I met them.
Yeah. Well, I think what separates Shirt Lab from others is, there's the Shirt Lab Tribe component, right? Which these are the best people in the industry because they're not getting their answers and networking from some anonymous Facebook group, right? They want to be the best. And so they're happy to hang out with other people. Of course, that's all a curated discussion. You have to pay to belong, that kind of thing. And then that separates kind of the wheat from the chaff a little bit. And then, and let me tell you, the Shirt Lab group, there's a whole pile of people that when they go to a trade show, they rent an Airbnb and they go together as a group. I don't know if you've realized that, right? It's just amazing. And so there's these people and they're all over the United States, and they travel en masse to things. So anyway, by the way, if you're just joining us, I'm having some video issues with my audio, not keeping up with the video, and I don't know how to fix it. So
it's the heat in Arizona, I think.
It is the heat. It's probably my internet.
On the heat.
I don't know what the deal is. So, all right. So just ignore my video. And so Mark Soldonic says, we'll have an embroidery with a color reel at Printing United. That's so awesome.
And that is something right there about having to go and see it.
Yes.
You can hear about color reel until you see that happening.
Yeah.
It is incredible, amazing.
Oh my gosh. Last year was the first time I had seen color reel at Printing United. Holy cow. I did not understand how cool it really is.
They had GSG had it at a show right after the summit I was at. I'm not going to say who the show was. And it's a small show. There were people flocked around that thing. It was incredible. Now, why did I not give video of it? Because I am horrible of thinking about stuff because I was so mesmerized. So,
Yeah.
But if you're embroidering, you need to go just for that.
So Dean says the main takeaway from a trade show is to meet people and talk and teach, and face-to-face will always play messaging and emails or sitting behind a screen. You get the opportunity to ask your questions direct and get direct responses and leads. Again, this is education track. This is classes. This is trade show booth stuff, right? I know a lot of vendors have classes in the booth, right?
Yeah.
All does that. A lot of people do that. And then Dean also says, and from a sales side, you're able to meet your customer and hear their story and offer even more insight to help if needed. Shows the real value of what you offer outside of just a product or a thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dan says we should all consider ourselves decorators. Apparel decorators restrict what we say we do. How many screen printers or apparel printers actually embroider or print on gym bags, boxes, etc.? Screen printers can be printing on coffee mugs. Actually, the thing that I want people to use, the label that I would really like, and this is what I do in my coaching, is that if you use the label entrepreneur instead of the decoration method, right, this opens up a lot of possibilities for you. Because if you say I'm a screen printer or I'm an apparel decorator, right, that's bringing you in. If you say you're an entrepreneur, then why aren't you investing in real estate? Why aren't you doing more other things and have that work into your business and your business plan? And it opens up way more opportunities for your thinking. And so that's kind of the label that like, I don't even like the word label, but that's kind of the mindset that I think people should be following, right?
I love that.
I agree. And, not to go back because I was a part of it, but the Decoration Summit, on the panel we were on, there were some people talking about two of the printers that said, we don't like to turn away business for anything. So they will find out what you need mugs. We don't print them in-house. We will get you mugs. Let's go. You need that. And that's the mindset of having different buckets of different outlets, that you are a source, you are a provider.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, and Mark says we'll be running a four color wheel. Can't talk. 4 running color reels at Impressions Fort Worth on a forehead. That's great. I can't wait to see that.
Incredible.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I'm teaching a class on AI
Nice.
at Fort Worth. Actually, not to I know that's not what we're talking about today. But
Hey, but again, this is a community. We have there should be a lot of community opportunities.
Right.
That's the thing, is like,
Absolutely.
that's why I like that there are so many networking events and all that stuff, because it's like, listen, if there were just one, it wouldn't work. If there were just one event all year, it wouldn't work. You have to bring in multiple voices. You have to talk from multiple directions and have different fresh people and perspectives. Like, that's what makes the apparel community one of the greatest ones, in my opinion. So
Well, we were talking.
my own camera's bugging me, so I turned it off. Just so
That's okay.
all good.
So, on networking, why going? Sometimes and Marshall, you and I have talked about this. Some of the best meetings I've had in conversation. We term the sale your elevator pitch. But how many times, Marshall, have you met somebody in an elevator at a hotel or in a hallway? So I met. If you know,
in line for coffee, dude. That's,
how about one
is.
of my favorites is John Linka, John Lynch from Linka in Poland. Incredible printer. I don't know if you know him. You know him, right?
Yep.
Cass?
Yep.
I met him in the hallway walking into Impressions on a show. And we were going to the same seminar, which was sustainability taught by Marshall, and that's where I met Marshall at the first time too, because he invited me through networking and stuff. And I mean,
and I made fun of him.
He did make fun of me.
It's this camera thing. So
And I walked out. No,
I'm just leaving it off. So here's the thing: is you got to go. You got to get out of your shell. Way back when I was in college, I took a leadership class over the summer. And one of the instructors threw this nugget at me, and it stuck with me my whole life, which is your best friend is only a handshake away.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you don't know who you're going to meet. And just think in your life, how many people are friends with people that they met in elementary school or high school or even college?
Mm-hmm.
And your best friend could be somebody that you served on a committee for the local Habitat for Humanity or something. You don't know how you meet people. And so if you're bashful and shy, I get that, right? But just introduce yourself, a question, right? And you never know who you're going to sit next to in a class or in line for coffee, or, you know, how many times you've been to a trade show and there's those 10 tops over there in the corner and everybody's got the hot dog or whatever from the venue, and you go over there looking for a place to eat and answer your email, and then you start a conversation with somebody, and that kicks it off, right? And
it's incredible, you know. And I want people to know, you know, they see Cassie, they've seen me, they've seen Marshall, you know, guys like Charlie and stuff, Tylee there. I was at a show, just Charlie and I just having coffee. We're just sitting at a thing in the show, you know, just, we probably should have been working or something, but we were sitting there, and there was some people came up and said, I don't want to interrupt you two, but man, we have been watch you guys on stuff like that. We're like, what interrupting? We were talking about something stupid, international travel. So he's like, you know, do not think anybody is untouchable. Introduce yourself. I still do. There's people, you know, how I met Ed Cook. He's in the different part of the industry. He used to be on the executive board of SGI and Printing United. I met him years ago, just getting coffee at a booth. And
I met Ed Cook at ThreadX in Palm Springs over breakfast. He sat at a table. Actually, I think he was sitting at the table when Tom Rowan and I came up with the Shirt Lab idea.
Exactly. And you know, and you and Tom knew each other, but met kind of more there.
We met because he took my sustainability class. A lot of people I met in that sustainability class. You know, I taught that sustainability class for like 4, 5, 6 years. And
do it again. Bring it back.
Well, they're not interested in that because it's not new.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on classes. We've already covered that, right? So
well, we haven't. It was off camera, but yeah. But yeah, you know what? There's different venues that we could do. So anyways, you know, networking, why go, man? And Marshall, you're one you hate, you know, you talk about you're at a show to work. If I'm having breakfast or coffee alone, that means I didn't schedule well. You know,
how I do a show, and Alan, you know this, I do breakfast, lunch, and dinner with different people every meal.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
And there's stuff that I remember, Marshall, we were in Indianapolis. You were there, I think it was. And I had a client that, you know, wanted to meet you. And I think we met at 11 o'clock. Anthony Sharples from there. And we met at like a Steak and Shake at like 11 o'clock at night. You know, we were all exhausted, but Anthony it was just incredible. I said, let me call him, see what his schedule is. And my
schedule was I was going to bed.
But he said, let's go. Well, you know what? That's what we do when
I go, hey, I'll meet you for coffee. I don't need any fries or anything.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, that's what we do. You know, and that's what you do. Let me know, you know, what's going on.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite parts. I mean, some of the people that I've connected with over the years have become like personal friends.
Oh, yeah.
And I know I can call them at any time with a question or to just chat. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So, hey, we need to wind things up. So we want to remind everybody that we actually got around to it and invented a new Instagram, which is, if I can get it to go, Q&A with Alan and Marshall. I'm sure we're going to have big plans for this Instagram channel. There's only 3 posts so far, but please follow us. Yes. And I was actually part of an Instagram training event yesterday through my buddy Jay Bassell, and I took about 6 pages of notes, Alan. So we're about to do some crazy stuff. Okay,
let's do it, man. I'm excited.
Yeah,
you know what? We're in, just so everybody thinks that, you know, we sit here and talk, and all of us, I know Cassie do, like we have it all together. I mean, Marshall and I,
we don't know what we're doing.
What do we need to do better every day? Sometimes we're in our own way. So yeah,
we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah,
right. And then also, hey, you want to go to Shirt Lab New Orleans, Shirt Lab Live right here? You can buy a ticket. We've got 70 something people coming, so it's going to be a lot of it's going to be a good event. It's going to be lots of fun, and we'd love to see you there.
Hey.
And then also, lastly, sign up for my newsletter. If you're interested in AI, this is the place to go. Especially, it's only covering Midjourney, but it's $12 a month. We publish every Monday. Lots of really good stuff, and it's so fascinating. Today, I learned how to do Pantone colors in Midjourney.
Ooh, nice.
That may be coming up in a future edition.
Don't lie, Marshall. Come on.
We need to talk about this off camera because I have questions.
Well,
You're going to have to read the newsletter, Cassie. That's
No, I'm a subscriber. I love it.
right. I've been playing around all morning with Pantone colors in Midjourney, and it kind of sort of works. It's not perfect, but it's right there, right? So,
and Marshall, on Shirt Lab too, we want to also mention too, our sponsor GSG is a sponsor of Shirt Lab. They're going to have people there. They're also have a huge
GSG.
island at Printing United Expo showing everything. So yeah.
Yeah, GSG sponsoring, Easy Ways a sponsor, M&R is a sponsor, Printing United is a sponsor, the Apparelist is a sponsor. We have a lot of really awesome sponsors, and to be completely honest, we couldn't do it without them.
And I'm gonna,
our keynote speaker this year is Mike Michalowicz.
incredible.
And I don't know if you know anything about that guy, but he isn't free. Okay. So, and our other speakers, we pay our speakers, we pay their travel.
He's not free. He wrote the book Profit First. I can't believe
he's making a profit. Okay. Exactly. So, it's going to be, and actually his whole talk is not about profit first. He has a new book coming out next year. It's not even released yet, called All In. It's about how you as a business owner need to hire and retain your employees.
Incredible.
I don't know about you, but that seems like a relevant topic.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And he's going to be sharing his wisdom on that. And it's going to be a really great event. And I actually have a call with the guy on Monday, so I can't wait to talk to him. But
you know what? It's going to be a great event because we got the Michigan Summit coming down.
You got the Michigan crew.
Bunch. Richard Green's going to be there. I'm going to be there.
Like 10 people from Michigan coming.
I know Ryan McCauley, Adam Dost from Sandlot Sports are going to be there.
You and Richard
and be there.
Ray Markey.
Myself. Yep. Yeah. So we have the mitten coming. So that's the state. It's the mitten state. It looks like a mitten. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, we got some more comments. Let's get to them real quick, and then we'll say goodbye. So Richard said he also met John Lynch 30 years ago at the SGIA show.
Yep.
Dean says, followed on the gram under several accounts. Ha ha ha. I run a few.
Okay, right? Good.
Hex color seems to work better in Midjourney, it seems.
Interesting.
All right, Dean. So don't spill my secret. Come on. Right. So anyway, thank you so much, Cassie. Yeah. If somebody wants to learn how to get a hold of you, where do they email you? Also, how do they subscribe to the Apparelist? We forgot to put that little thing up there.
Yeah, for sure. So there's my email right there, cgreen@napco.com. I love direct contact, so just reach out. That's my email. I will respond to you. To subscribe, apparelist.com /subscribe. If you just head on to the Apparelist website, we like our newsletter subscription is right below the bottom half of the page. Like it's pretty front and center. So it's pretty easy to do. Good.
All right. Well, great. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Cassie. Don't go anywhere. I'm just ending the broadcast. Yep. So appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks.